Most welcome, everyone, and nice to see very many of you here again. We have a new venue. We've taken out the sun, which we had last year, but it might be that the sun will be back in the next few, tomorrow, let's hope. Why then are we all here? Our aim with these particular meetings is to create an international, inclusive platform for constructive discussions on the importance of Internet for freedom and for development across the world. And I do think that we have registered some success in that particular endeavor. It's been a year that has passed since our first forum, and it's been a year of, as usual, continued expansion of connectivity across the world. There are now roughly 2.7 billion users of Internet. There are almost as many cell phone subscriptions as there are people in the entire world, approximately 6.8 billion. And smartphone take-up, mobile broadband, which is a real revolution coming, is developing extremely fast throughout the world. According to present trends, within 5 years, 85% of the population of the world will be covered by mobile broadband, and the speed of those particular mobile networks are increasing even faster. The more advanced 4G networks might be able to deliver speeds up to 1 gigabyte per second. This is a true revolution. And the economic, social, and political impact of this rapidly developing world of hyperconnectivity is bound to be massive, massive indeed. The word revolution is not out of place. And the economic impact, if we start with that, of this development is, of course, profound. Lately, there has been much well-deserved attention given to the fast economic development of not only individual countries of Africa, but on the African continent as a whole. The most rapidly rising billion of the world economy is the billion of people to the south of the Sahara. There's oil and there's gas and there's minerals and there are other things involved in that. But more important is something else. The African Development Bank, when they study the impressive new growth record of Africa, they're saying that roughly half of the improvement in the growth record of Africa is due to the revolution in connectivity, primarily mobile phones, but Internet in different way. It is the Internet, it is the mobile phone, it is the rise of Africa, and that, of course, is the story that we've seen before in other parts of the world, that we are seeing in virtually every part of the world. That is, we all know that is the good story. On the political side of things, of course, a somewhat more mixed picture. The good side, after we had the Stockholm Internet Forum last year, we went and we had developed that already previously together with other nations to the United Nations Human Rights Council in order to try to get them to establish the, for us here, rather simple principle that the rights to freedom of information and freedom of expression, Article 19 of the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, what applies offline should apply equally online. Easy for us, very difficult for X numbers of regimes around the world. But we worked and worked and worked, and we built a fairly impressive coalition of governments, countries around the world, based on the same values as we had. And at the end of the day, believe it or not, we got a unanimous resolution in Geneva to that effect. And that resolution, 20/8, has already acquired a symbolic significance beyond most such resolutions. It has inspired debate. It has encouraged activists. It has transformed the political debate around the world on these issues in exactly the way that we intended. It is our platform for the continued fight for freedom on the net. Today, the most important frontline in the fight for freedom across the world. Then, in other fora, developments might be somewhat less fast. We had the big conference of the ITU last year, which I'm quite certain that quite a number of you followed keenly. Its aim was to revise very old telecommunications regulation, but much of the attention, of course, was focused on attempts by a number of governments to grab more power over the net, for whatever purpose, we can all guess. Many, Sweden certainly among them, took the position that that was not a good thing, that we do have a multi-stakeholder, fairly well-functioning approach that has served the world exceedingly well during the past decades, and that provides the best possible platform for preserving the best values and stopping those that want to encroach on the freedoms that Internet is a tool of expanding. And the debate went back and forth, and the debate has certainly not stopped. It will go on. And out there in the, let's call it the real world, of different countries, it is of course also there a somewhat mixed picture. Can't mention every country, just mention nearby we have Russia, where new legislation makes it possible for the government authorities to block websites without any judicial oversight or transparency. And often the motives that are claimed for this, protection of children in this particular case, they are honest. But, of course, they go hand in hand with other laws that are used in ways which we are by now fairly familiar with. And if there's no judicial oversight, if there's no right of appeal, if there's no right of transparency, then of course this leads off in the wrong direction. Others are using different means. Iran is heading to a new version of its so-so election. So free, sort of, you decide who can run, and then you let those run. Call that a free election if you want. But even that, an element of competition inside a very restricted political system. But Internet, this is one of the most well-connected nations in the world. A young, extremely Internet-aware population looking out to the rest of the world. So what the regime is doing is slowing down the speed of the Internet, so it goes back to, we all know that experience when it does happen, how it was in the past. And that is a way of making it easier to control, slow down the effect, and limit the impact of it. But, and other countries, Bahrain, China, Syria, Vietnam, among those that continue to oppress the free flow of information and Internet in ways that are unacceptable, and as a matter of fact, in violation of international human rights law. But there are many people in these countries that go around, use it in different ways, the net, in order to voice their concerns, and who are also actually getting heard. They are the ones that deserve our support and our encouragement. Because freedom of information and freedom of expression are imperative to free societies. We should expose human rights violations, and we should pay attention to them whatever, wherever, and whenever they occur. We are trying to do what we can from Sweden's side. Next week we are publishing an annual review of the human rights situation in quite a number of countries. This year the focus is on the 35 countries of the Americas. It's encouraging to note how well-established democracy is today in that region. Go back a couple of decades and things were different, with the most obvious exception known to us all, and that is the regime on Cuba. Courageous journalists contribute to the freedom of expression. But reports also remind us of all of the challenges, violence, including against persons involved in media and the bloggers, corruption, and discrimination of the indigenous populations, to name but a few of the challenges that are still there. Then, it should be said, security, important. And cybersecurity is one of the rapidly rising issues on the global agenda. Security and freedom are two sides of the same coin. They are not different, they are the same. In open societies, security and freedom are mutually reinforcing. They are not, they must not be conflicting in any sort of way. Security must never be used as a pretext to limit these freedoms and rights beyond what is stated in international law and then transformed in selected cases into national law. In fact, trying to do those limitations would only be counterproductive. And we need to spell out what we're actually protecting when we meet the new challenges of the hyper-connected world. The way to meet these challenges is, as I indicated, through the constitutional approach. Open societies, with democracy, with the rule of the law, with transparency, with accountability, are unparalleled success stories in combining freedom with security. The lesson of history is crystal clear in these respects. Free societies are strong societies. Open economies are growing economies. This is a matter of ideas and of principles that we must fight for. But it's also a matter of practicalities, of capacities and resources in different ways. We have initiated a process to develop guidelines for capacity building for a free and secure internet. And we hope that you, the community assembled here, will assist us in this endeavor. It is our ambition to consult widely on this and to have the guidelines ready by the time that we, hopefully, many of us, meet again here next year. We believe that we are, Sweden, a leading nation in the field of ICT. We believe that we are a leading nation in the field of human rights. We will contribute knowledge and resources to closing the global digital divide between and within countries. We will work to connect the unconnected to an open, secure internet that drives innovation and growth, contributes to better democracy and to the enjoyment of free speech. And we will develop our own ability to provide assistance to others, combining hardware with a more soft capacity represented by institutions and models for regulations and deregulation as appropriate. We can provide knowledge and experience on how to frame open, transparent, and rule of the law-based systems that can provide security and privacy in the online world. And that could create conditions for the online entrepreneurship and for the business models that are so crucial in promoting prosperity and growth and a better future across the world. We are determined to continue the efforts that I indicated in the Human Rights Council, putting Internet and human rights on the agenda of the upcoming session next or the week after next, and hosting there a side event to bring discussions again from this forum to the diplomats representing the different countries in Geneva. And I know that several of the experts that are here in Stockholm will actually be part of the event that we intend to host in Geneva. And in all of this, we must develop cooperation, deepen that with others. Organizers are working together with the organizers of the conference on cyberspace that will be held in Seoul towards the end of this year, to make the conclusions from here visible there, and continuing as partners in the Freedom Online Coalition, which is meeting in Tunis in just a couple of weeks. And I'm pleased that the organizers from Seoul are here, as well as the Freedom Online Coalition Conference organizers are present here in Stockholm. But for the coming 2 days, it's about us, it's here, and about what we can do for the values that we cherish and for our common commitment that internet connectivity is one of the most powerful forces for freedom and development that we've ever seen. But it is by increasing the space for freedom that we also increase the possibilities for development across the world, and we must fight those that haven't seen that as of yet, and we must fight those forces of darkness that are still out there and are de facto limiting the possibilities of individuals, of their nations, and indeed of mankind as a whole. Thank you.